Good news, we finished storage cabinet number 1. Bad news, we still got to do storage cabinets 2 and 3. So let's go ahead and get into it. Next brand is going to be Wayne Goss. This here is what the outside of his packages look like. Oh, I'm trying to get this. Alright, this is what his packaging looks like. Very reflective, as you can see. On the inside we do have a mirror. I believe this is the Tourmaline. So this is the first palette from Wayne Goss. This here is Pearl. Pearl Moonstone. Imperial Topaz. This next group of palettes are all brands where I only have one palette from the brand, so I might need to get me a larger collection, but as big as this collection is already, we're not even going to argue that. First up, we have the 750 Edgitorial palette by Marc Jacobs Beauty. So the outside looks like. On the inside, you know I had to get it because of the greens. We have the Rebel palette. This is the original Rebel because they have redone this by Charlotte Tilbury. She's much more neutral now, but I got the original one when she was popping with greens. And this is what she looks like. Next up from Dior, this is their 5 colors palette. This is 657 Exposed. This is what she looks like on the outside. This is exposed on the inside. This next palette is called Nude Pop by Kevyn Aucoin. She was limited edition, which is why I grabbed her. Recommendation by Kelsey Brianna J. Had to have her. Neutral to cool tone purple for me. Always a win. This next palette is called number 28 Gold Shimmer. This is from Burberry Beauty. And on the inside, like she called Gold Shimmer, honey. What else was we gonna get? This here was a Christmas gift, and when I tell you I screamed when I opened and seen it. I literally just opened this morning, so I'm just now seeing it for the first time. This here is the Monochromance palette by Hindash. I did not have any palettes from Hindash. I believe this is his second release, so I am happy to have it because I don't have the first one either. But this is what she looks like on the inside. She has a sheet there, and as you can see, she is a monochromatic palette. It's a gradient. Baby, whether I want to use a light tone shade or a deep tone, I can use it. If I want to mix them, it's all one large pan. So baby, I cannot wait to see what his formula and his theories are like because I've never been able to test them out. Next up is the Snatural No. 1 palette. This is by Scott Burns. I managed to grab this on one of his very first 50% off sales. That's what she looks like on the inside. Next brand up is going to be Nars. First up, we have the Hyped palette. This is what she looks like on the outside. This is Nars Hyped on the inside. This is the Inferno palette. This is the Loaded palette. This is one of the very first ones that I picked up. This is probably my most used palette from the brand. This is the Wanted palette. This is Ignited. This one was a very special collab because this one was the one where I believe Naomi Campbell did the face of the campaign, and I believe this was the very first one she did. This is called Skin Deep. This one here is called Extreme Effects. This is called Climax. Many people consider this to be the best eyeshadow formula they've ever released. I still haven't tried her out yet, so I don't know. Provacateur. This one is called Make Up Your Mind. This is an eye and face palette, but I have so many face palettes from Nars that I keep this with the eye palettes. The only time I'm going to use it is if I'm using the eyeshadows. I may use the face powders as well, but I never reach in here solely for face powders. The next 12 are going to be all collabs with Nars. This first one is going to be Nars and Erdem Fleur Fatale. To me, this had the prettiest packaging of them all. Just drop dead gorgeous. On the inside, and you see I kept the plastic because even that was gorgeous. This is also Nars and Erdem. This is called Night Garden. This is what Night Garden looks like on the inside. Oop, don't want to drop her. Also kept that plastic. This here is a duo with Nars and Charlotte Gainsbourg. This one is called Rue Allent. This is what Rue Allent looks like. And I got it basically because it was the first time I had ever seen them do green packaging, and I thought it was absolutely stunning. Also from Nars and Charlotte Gainsbourg is a duo called Old Church Street. From Nars and Sarah Moon, we have the Look Closer palette. This is what the packaging looks like on the outside. This is what she looks like on the inside. And I completely forgot that that pencil was in there, but I see no reason to take her out, so she can go ahead and stay home. Also from Nars and Sarah Moon, we have two duos. This first one is called Indes Galantes. This is what the packaging looks like. Here's the inside. I also have another one. I'm not sure how you pronounce this. It looks like Quai Des Brumes. I'm not sure. I'll leave it in the description bar. This is also from Nars and Sarah Moon. The last four from Nars are all from the Nars and Man Ray collab. First, we have this palette here. This one is called Glass Tears. Oh, so now I see why they call it Glass Tears, but this is what it looks like on the inside. This palette here, I'm not even going to tell y'all how much it cost to get a hold of because it was not sold in America, but it was easily my favorite piece from Nars. This is the Love Game palette, and get into her here. Baby, I bought this entire collection and this was the one piece I had to pay to have shipped to America because it wasn't sold here, and it broke my heart, but I was not going to be without it. And this is what she looks like on the inside. Nars and Man Ray also had two duos. This first one is called Debauched. This is what that looks like on the outside. On the inside, Debauched looks like that. The last duo is called Montparnasse. That's what she looks like. Now we are working on Sigma Beauty. We are going to start with the smaller palettes and work our way up to the larger ones. This first one here is called Ivy, and she is a 9-pan palette. You know I got her simply because you can see that green from the outside, and unfortunately I still have not used her. Next up we have the Ritzy palette. Got her as well, simply because she's much more neutral to cool tone to me instead of warm tone. She's much more yellow instead of orange. Still haven't used her. Sigma Viper. Got her on the outside. Inside, I know I've used her. This is the Sigma and Stephanie Lane collab. This is called the Essentials palette. And I thought I used her, but apparently not. My bad. I'll be watching Stephanie Lane all the time though. Next up, the Bare Bliss palette. Now I know I've used her and I have a tutorial up for this because I think I was the first person on YouTube to use this palette. And I was shocked because I kept checking it every day to make sure. Baby, I still am. So we're never going to get rid of that. Ambiance palette. A classic in the makeup industry. Baby, look at her. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. The Cinderella palette. No, I used her. No, I got a tutorial up for this one as well. I remember when this one dropped. Cor-De-Rosa. I know I have a tutorial up for this one because right when I did this, they posted a picture of me on Twitter after I did it, so I'm never going to forget this one. She's a keeper. Enchanted palette. Not 100% sure if I have a tutorial up, but I know I have used this palette. Packaging is beautiful. Dark grungy colors. You got greens, so you know I didn't dip my fingers in this one before. Untamed palette. Baby, just the packaging alone lets me know there are going to be some dark colors, so you knew I had to get my hands on this bad boy. Look at her. Got some greens, so you know I done been in here already. The last from Sigma is the Warm Neutrals palette. And I'm not sure if I've used this one before, because before they came out with this one, they used to have it in a 12-pan palette, and I know for sure I've used the 12-pan version. It looks like I have used this one, but I can't remember it. I'm not sure if I got a video up of it, but we'll find out. The next brand up is going to be Sydney Grace. All of my Sydney Grace palettes are collabs. The thing is, I have a habit of reorganizing mine. So this is the first three. These three are by Temptalia. They are the Quintessence, On the Horizon, and Radiant Reflection palette. Is Radiant Reflection last? Yes, it is. But I have completely pulled all shadows out and reorganized them, so they may not look the way yours do. But if you buy all three in the deep version, you can reorganize yours like mine. This first one is the Quintessence. Let me pull these over. And this is what my Quintessence looks like on the inside. Next up we have On the Horizon. This is what my On the Horizon looks like. Then we have Radiant Reflection, and this is what mine look like. Next up, we have the Sydney Grace and the Fancy Face Tropicolor palette. This is what she looks like after I reorganized her. Then we have the Tiny Marbles palette. This was their first collab with Mel Thompson. I reorganized this as well. This is what my reorganized version looks like. Last from Sydney Grace, this is the In Mel's Memory Bundle. This was the second collab that they did with Mel Thompson. It was a bundle of single shadows. This collab was done to support Mel's family after Mel's passing. I did go ahead and purchase this additional single here just to give myself a little depth and to say that I had all of their deep dark matte greens. I still don't have them all yet, but this one goes with this palette for me. And this is the In Mel's Memory Bundle. And this is the last palette that I have from Sydney's Grace. Wait, Sydney's Grace. The last palette I have from Sydney Grace. This next brand is Violet Voss, and I only have one palette from them because I wanted to test the brand out first. This is the Wild Dahlia palette. And of course, if I'm going to test a brand out, it's either going to be their neutrals or their greens and get into this bad baby here. So I figured if I like this one, it'll let me know to continue to try Violet Voss, but haven't tried her yet. Next up, we have a bundle of multi-chromes from Davina, I believe this is from. Davina Cosmetics. This is their Aurora Flare, and I believe there is either 1 or 2 additional shadows in here, but this is just the 8 that I have from them. I need to do a tutorial with them because I have them and they are beautiful, but never showed them. The next brand we have is Huda Beauty. I'm going to start with her larger palettes, then we're going to work our way down to the smaller ones. This first one here is the Rose Gold palette. Well, the Rose Gold Remastered because I never got the first one. Baby, I didn't get around to it. This is what she looks like on the inside. We have the Desert Dusk palette. We have the New Nude palette. We have the Mercury Retrograde palette. We have the Naughty Nude palette. And large for the last ones, we have the Rose Quartz palette. Whoops. The next group of palettes from Huda Beauty are called their Obsessions. These are their smaller 9 pans. We're going to start off with the cardboard ones, then work up to her newer plastic ones. First off, we have Coral Obsessions. We have Electric Obsessions. Gemstone Obsessions. We have Mauve. We have Smoky. Warm Brown. Amethyst, Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz. Next up from Huda, we have the Neon Obsessions. First we have Green, we have Orange, and we have Pink. And then we have the Nude Obsessions. This is Nude Light, we have Nude Medium, and Nude Rich. Next up, we have the Pastel Obsessions. This is Pastel's Lilac, Pastel's Mint, Pastel's Rose. Next up, we have the Haze Obsessions. This is Khaki, we also have Purple, and we have the Sand Haze. Very last palette from Huda Beauty would be the Gold palette. I'm not sure if this is called, yeah, Gold Obsessions. And this is the one I'm bitter over because when I first bought her, she was UK exclusive. After I got her, she brought her to America. So I still haven't used her just because I'm still mad about that. Alright, I done pulled out another drawer, and this drawer has Tarte, Too Faced, and Urban Decay. We're going to start with Too Faced, and in this one, this is the Born This Way, the Natural Nudes palette. This is what she looks like. On the inside, I think I still have the plastic, and oh no, I tossed it. This is what she looks like on the inside. This is the Chocolate Gold palette. This is what she looks like on the inside. This is the Sweet Peach palette. This is the Just Peachy Mattes. Probably my most used Too Faced palette. And this is the Pretty Rich palette. The next brand is Tarte, and the first palette is a collab with the makeup artist Harouche. This palette is called Styled by Harouche. And I remember, what was her name, Samantha March, going crazy over this palette. This here is the Tartlet. This is the Tartlet in Bloom. The Tartlet Toasted. And last from them is the Tartlet Juicy. This is the original Tartlet Juicy, the larger one. I really do want the smaller one just so I can have it to complete my collection with the rest of them. But it's nothing but 12 shades from this palette in a smaller form. So it's like, why give up 8 shades, Torrance, when this is already paid for and you have it? All right, these first 3 from Urban Decay are all custom palettes. This one here, I don't even think they even sell their singles in these containers no more, so you can't get this packaging. I think the colors are all still available, but you can't get them in this sizing anymore. They've switched up everything. These are the 4 that are in there. It says Bordello, Midnight Cowboy, Psychedelic Sister, and Sellout. This here is another quad. These 4 shades are Kush, Blunt, Twice Baked, and Roach. This is a different style packaging, but it's basically the same thing. It was just a different color, so I decided to put these colors in this one here. And these 4 are all, I believe, what is that formula called? Their Moon Dust formula. So I have Space Cowboy, Midnight Blast, Solstice, and Zodiac. Oh, I am feeling terrible because I cannot remember the name of the influencer that did the collab for this palette. But this is basically 3 different palettes. It's 3 mashed into one tiny little Z palette. Oh, that's what it is. The Urban Decay and Kristen Leanne collab. That's Kristen Leanne collab, and she did 3 different palettes that I have all mashed into here. She has the Daydream palette, which I believe is a group of shadows, but I believe like 5 of these matte shades here was in one palette. All the rest of these shadows was in one palette, and then this highlighter was its own palette. I decided to take everything, mash them together, and create one big palette. So I know this is 3, and those 3 would be Daydream, Kaleidoscope Dream, and Beauty Beam. So this is 3 different palettes mashed into one area just to make it easier to put together a look. And with them all right here in one spot, it is. But you can see when you had to sell this and go across 3 different palettes to get it, a lot of people didn't like that. From Urban Decay, we have the Moon Dust palette. I love this bad boy. You could not pay me to get rid of her. She is fabulous, from the packaging to the formula to the colors. Absolutely love this bad boy here. Also have the Electric palette, something that we've been asking them to bring back for quite some time. They will not listen. They tried bringing back a different version, but we didn't want that. We want this version here. Urban Decay and Gwen Stefani. And like most Gwen Stefani fans, I bought it to support her. I didn't care about this palette for real. But now that I got her and she's sold out, I am ecstatic that I have this and the blush palette to go with it. My most coveted Urban Decay piece, the Urban Spectrum palette. Baby, when I tell you I am being careful with this because I've seen somebody else drop theirs online before. I think it was Spooky Lips and Fat Hips. I'm not sure. Somebody that I watch on a regular, but baby, it would hurt me to drop mine because the packaging on this was beautiful. The jewel tones of the formula, the colors, this was beautiful. I believe this even lifts up here. You see how that accidentally, and did I just gouge it again? Every time I try to reach in there, I gouged the shade West. Well, we might as well get a swatch going since she's beautiful right there. Beautiful, nice brown tone shade, but all the years I done gouged her, it don't matter. I'm never gonna get rid of her. So we're gonna put her down because I was gonna lift that up for y'all, but she playing and we're not doing that again. They tried to come back and give us another spin on it. This one called Full Spectrum. That first one was called Urban Spectrum. And although in theory she tried, the execution on this formula was nothing like the Urban Spectrum. She is gorgeous. She is gorgeous. But the formula was not quite as good. So I kept her just because she was the sister palette, but no ma'am. The last three from Urban Decay, we have first up the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. One of their classics. Everybody loves this bad boy. And get into her. Two other palettes you could not pay me for. You could never get. It's just like not gonna happen. And I cannot find the name of these two. I'll make sure I leave them just right there in the description bar. These are the Jean-Michel Basquiat palettes. This is the first one here. I believe one is called Tinted and the other one, I can't remember what it's called. But this one here, what that first one looks like, colorful, beautiful. I bought the entire collection. There was no way this was gonna get past me. This here was the next one. Absolutely stunning, stunning, stunning. One day I wish to be able to afford an original Basquiat, but until then, we're gonna have to settle on Urban Decay, baby. Next up, this is the only palette that I have from Bare Minerals. They no longer sell any of the palettes that are in here. I couldn't even begin to tell you what palettes are in here. I depotted them years ago, and you can see there are even different shapes and pans going on because they came from holiday palettes, permanent palettes, but I decided to create one side that was full of matte shades or satin shades, and then on the other side, I have all my shimmers, so I can just top it off. But baby, I couldn't begin to tell you. I just know this is a custom Bare Minerals palette. Like I said, they don't make this formula no more. They don't make these shades anymore, but I love her. The next brand is gonna be Give Me Glow. I have 4 palettes from them. This first one is the Christmas Morning palette. I truly do believe I have a tutorial up for this one, but you know we're gonna leave everything in the description bar. Check her out. And that is what she looks like. This one here is called Vintage Rose. Packaging is stunning. This is what Vintage Rose looks like. Next up is my favorite one from the brand, Juicy Olive, and you already know why. It wouldn't even surprise me if this isn't their best seller because it's my favorite one. Baby, look at them greens. The last one is a custom one. I got this from either buying singles or buying bundles that they had. I believe one of the bundles I purchased is no longer available, but this is the custom palette that I have. You can see I got me a green half and a neutral half. The neutral half has a pop of glitter to make things interesting and that black. So this is what I go for, baby. Neutral to cool tones with some greens. Beautiful palette for me. Next brand up is MAC Cosmetics, and a lot of these are going to be custom palettes that I made myself. simply because I absolutely love MAC Cosmetics. They were one of the first brands I tried out. This one here is a custom 9 pan that I made. You can buy, I believe, all of these shades as well as the palette itself from MAC. I usually create mine online. This is what she looks like. I think I got the shades on the back. So yeah, so I'll make sure I leave that in the description bar as well. This one here is a custom 15 pan palette. I remember making this one year for my birthday. She is a rainbow palette because you know MAC is about supporting any and everyone, baby. And I had to make me my own custom rainbow palette. Have those shades here. I'll make sure to leave those in the description bar as well. This is a pre-made 15 pan. This one is called the 15 Warm Neutrals. This is no longer being made, and I picked this one up simply because Janet Jackson's makeup artist did a look with, I believe, shade number 11 called Lemon Drop. You all know lemons are my favorites, and because you couldn't get that individually, I bought the whole palette just so I can recreate that look he did. With a lot of these, most of these from MAC are also going to be custom made. This is a custom duo. This is what their duo packaging looks like. You can pick this packaging as well as all shades up online. Has these two shades, What Clout and Work, Work, Work. So this looks like this is one of their newer formulas, which is why I created this one, just to see what she looks like. Haven't tested the formula out, but I wanted a variety. Also, this is a basic everyday permanent duo. Grain and Saddle. 2 shades you can always use. This one here, I believe, was a custom one that I made for my birthday this past year. They sent me a couple things where I can make shadows. I was able to get blushes, a bunch of stuff. So you know I picked up on all of that. I'm not sure what she looks like on the inside, but we'll find out. Oh, I guess we see what I picked out for my birthday. A bunch of greens. If you're going to let me get a custom palette from MAC, greens are going to have to be it. And they also tested out, or they're testing out a new MAC formula. I wanted to see what that was like. So I created this custom quad here. Just wanted to do something that was colorful. And I was honestly thinking of Pat McGrath when I came up with these quads, because I'm like, imagine how beautiful this would be if Pat McGrath came out with a colorful MAC quad. And I did that to go with my version of a Blitz Astral Quad because they had came out with this formula at MAC, and I'm like, yes ma'am, I guess to try that. You got to give me some of that. So I created an all matte and an all shimmer quad with their new formulas. Oh, did I show y'all the colors in this one? These were the 4 from the matte. Make sure, yeah, that was the colorful one there. And this was that colorful shimmer one that I just made, and these were the shades here. Another custom MAC quad that I created. This was, you know, back in the day, MAC was the queen of blue browns. They still are, but then they came out with the press version. So I'm like, Torrance, see if you can create a color story using your favorite look from the, what was it? Makeup Geek and Manny MUA palette. It's not quite as cute, but she's beautiful anyway, and I have her, and these are the shades that are in that. And although she has 6 shades to her, she's the same size, which is why I have her here. This is the Chromat and Matte collab, and I bought this just because I remember Lena Bloom walking in the Chromat collection. So once they debuted this palette, which is called the Chroma Babe Super Pack Eyeshadow Palette. All those blues, you know, I didn't want it, but this green tone shade here is what really sold me, so that's why I picked her up. But once again, I bought it mainly to support Lena Bloom and Chromat. These next few from MAC, many of these are going to be collabs. I think they all just may be, I'm not sure. But this first one, no, this was just limited edition. This one was called Fruit A La La. And I bought this simply because she had metal packaging and they came out with a Fix Plus bottle that had the same fruit design on it. Had to get her. On the inside, she's rather red, which is like, not my favorite, but that shimmer was beautiful. And I just wanted more than one of these because the one I was really after was this one here called Love in the Glades. Same packaging on the outside, but you already know what made me go after her. The greens, honey. Had to have the greens. And I figured if I risk using this one because she's green and traveling with her, I wanted that other one to have just to make sure I had this metal packaging because I had never saw MAC do that before. Another very extremely popular, I wish I could have got more. This was the Mean Lou collab with MAC. This is, I believe, a split pan duo. This is called Fortune Duo. This is what she looks like on the outside. On the inside, you have a split pan. I love her. She's beautiful. Next, we have the MAC and Padma collection. This was a collab with Padma. I forgot what her last name is. But this is called 70s Sunset. And on the inside, beautiful. I honestly wish they could have given us one more matte shade to go in here with this, but it's only a quad. The next quad was a limited edition one. They do these collabs where they only release so many of them and they're numbered. I managed to get me one. This is their Matte Bio Brilliant Glitter. They've only done one palette in this formula, so I'm not sure if they plan on bringing it back, but I managed to get my hands on it simply because I love glitters. I've never even used her, that's why she still has this plastic on it here. But I want you all to get a realistic view of what those shades look like. And they seem extremely reflective. Last four, I believe, are all collabs. First up, we have the MAC and Aaliyah collab. This palette was fabulous. This palette was fabulous. She is called Age Ain't Nothing. Baby, get into her. She looks basic, but I've never gotten a bad look from this palette. Ever, ever, ever. Next up, we have the Glam AF palette. This was the first collab with MAC and Patrick Starr. I believe they did two palettes, but one of them I think I had already had all of the shades in it, so I figured I didn't need that one. This one had one shade, I believe, called Oh My God, which is this one here. So I picked it up just so I could have that one shade that I did not have in my collection. I already had the other three as singles, but didn't let that stop me. The last two are also Patrick Starr collabs. This first one is called Play With Me. The packaging on both of those look the same, but this is what she looks like on the outside. Play With Me on the inside looks like this. The last palette with Patrick Starr is called Stay With Me, and this is what she looks like. Baby, you talking about heart attack? Why I get through recording everything, editing everything, was getting ready to upload, decided I'm gonna put all the palettes up before I record again. Went to storage to put up that Juvia's Place palette and realized I found 4 palettes that was supposed to be in this video. Completely forgot. We not gonna leave them out. First one is from the MAC and Mariah Carey collab. This is called I'm That Chick You Like. This is what the outside packaging looks like. Get into this. You all know I love MAC and Mariah Carey, so this does not stay out in the open with all my normal collection. I want to show you that. Look at her, baby. MAC and Mariah did that. Once you open her up, because I want to make sure you all get a good view of the shadows. This is what she looks like inside. Nice, beautiful, you know, Mariah does neutral. So this wasn't a shock. The palette for the second one, which is called It's Everything. And let me put this down first before I accidentally drop her. It's everything on the outside. Looks the same, except when you get inside, you'll see shadows that looks like this. This is definitely a little cooler. Okay, and the last two from MAC are the MAC and Gualpe collab. And these two are easily my two most cherished eyeshadow palettes in my entire collection. And I'm going to be real careful with this. Baby, when I tell you, I had never seen MAC do a palette with real silk. Like, I had to wash my hands before I pulled these out because I wanted to make sure I did not stain them in any way. I do not let up. Nobody is allowed to touch these. They are gorgeous. This first palette is called Morning Light. And on the inside, these are the 4 shades. Beautiful warm toned for Morning Light. And I'm trying to see if we can catch it where there's an embossing on shadow number 4. I've never used it because I never wanted to mess that up, but this is a gorgeous palette. The other one, let me make sure I put this down first and cover her up. I want to make sure she's not even catching dust. The other one is called Night Sky. It has the same silk packaging, but Night Sky is a cool toned palette. And you can see she's much more blue. Shade number 4 also has that embossing on it. But baby, I'm trying to be extra careful with these 4 because I do not want to risk dropping anything. But before we upload this video, we're going to add these 4 palettes in there as well as into the description bar. Okay, a lot of these palettes, I'm looking at them, I believe all of them except one in this drawer are all collabs. So let's get into them. First brand up we have is Oden's Eye, and this is the collab with the Fancy Face called the Hummingbird palette. Baby, get into her. She is stunning. She is stunning. On the inside, just as beautiful. When I tell you, if you all did not get up on these palettes from Oden's Eye, you missed out. Next up is the collab with Annette. This is their Giant Wolves palette. Last in their series was the collab with Judy, and this was the Red Dragon palette. This here is the collab with Angelica Nyqvist, and this is the Hella palette. Oops. These next 2 palettes are from Ofra. The first one is not a collab, the second one is. This first one is called Signature Palette Galaxy, so I'm guessing it's the Galaxy palette. This is what the packaging looks like. This is what Galaxy looks like on the inside. This next palette is a collab with Samantha March. It's called Life's a Draft. This is what the outside looks like for that. And I'm not sure if I took the plastic off of this. No, I did not. See? I've seen that coming. This is what Life's a Drafts look like. This next palette is with Kaleidos. This is the only palette I have from them. This is a collab with Angelica Nyqvist. This is called Club Nebula. Another popular palette that sold out. And the thing is, I want some more from Kaleidos, but everything I want from them sells out really fast. This is what she looks like on the inside. This next palette is the only palette I have from Sephora. This was their collab with Moschino. No, Moschino. I don't know how I said that wrong. And this was, what was this palette called? The Laptop palette. I was about to say, I know I call it that, but I didn't know that was the actual name. And I got this simply because Teresa is there and kept bragging about it. And tell me she is not the cutest thing ever. Has a little teddy bear brush cleaner. But of course, I don't use that bad boy. It's these beautiful shadows that you want to get into. And when I tell you, the performance is just as beautiful as the packaging. She's stunning. Next up from Revolution Makeup, we have the Tammy X Revolution Tropical Carnival Shadow Palette. This is what she looks like here. And it is crazy to think that I have this and I've never tested her out. I bought it just to support my girl Tammy, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Every time I'm doing my videos or uploading my information, anytime I put in makeup by T, the first person who shows up is Tammy. And I always be like, go ahead girl, keep showing them, keep killing it. So that is her first one. This is the second one called Tropical Twilight. She's a much larger palette. And I had to get her, honey. Had to get her, had to get me a face palette. Like, yes, we had to support our girl Tammy. And look at that. And to think that I haven't tested her out and she has glitters got me wondering, like, baby, what is you out here doing? The last Revolution makeup palette that I have is with Emily Noel. This is a collab. This is called the Emily Edit The Wants palette. I believe they also have a Needs palette, but I didn't get that one. This is what she looks like on the inside. And baby, you can already tell what pulled me in. The greens. Yes, ma'am. A green is always going to get my attention each and every time. This next palette is the only one I have from Lethal Cosmetics. And of course, it is going to be the Lethal is Dead with Teresa is Dead, honey. She's one of my absolute favorites. There was no way I was going to be able to skip it. I could not afford to get that second one, but I'm hoping it doesn't sell out anytime soon. It's not because I don't want to support you, Teresa. It's just I really want one too, so please don't let it sell out. But this is what she looks like on the inside. And baby, I am hoping I can get that second one before she's gone. Because, baby, I'm a responsible father. I like to have all of my kids. The Pure and Raw, baby. When Raw Beauty Christy dropped this palette, it was so hard to get it. She stays sold out. This is the Duality palette. On one side, you got neutrals, baby. On the other side, you flip her over. And next thing you know, you got colorful stuff. It's like she wanted you to be able to do anything and everything. Absolutely beautiful. This is the only palette that I have from Pure Cosmetics. Oh no, this is the second palette that I have from Pure Cosmetics. It was the first one that I bought though. And this is the Etienne palette. This is the collab with the makeup artist Etienne Ortega. Had to get it. As soon as he said he was doing a collab, there was no doubt about it. This is what she looks like on the inside. And of course, he's a pro makeup artist, so warm neutrals will get the job done for him. Wasn't my taste, but I got it to make sure he knew he had support out here. And this here is my only palette from Stilazzi. I got this. It is called the Dark Room palette. It is a collab with Jordan Liberty. And I got it simply to support Jordan Liberty because I have no idea what Stilazzi's formula is like. And get into her. Absolutely gorgeous color story. And it's crazy to think that I have not used this yet. She is beautiful. And now that I see her, makes me want to go ahead and pull her out. Okay, this drawer is full of influencer brands. We're going to start off with Artist Couture by Mac Daddy. So let's just get into it. First off, we have the Caliente palette. Oh, we got her a little too close. Pull her up here. This is what Caliente looks like. Very colorful. Don't think I've used her, but I got her. Next up, we have the Ethereal Bloom palette. And I love the fact that most of his palettes are usually the same size, just a different color story. So they all look like they belong to the same brand. This one here was one I just got for Christmas. This is their newest release, the Supreme Nudes Matte Masterpiece. They also have the Supreme Nudes, the Quickie. The larger original size Supreme Nudes. First up we have Supreme Bronze. Then we have the original Supreme Nudes. We also have Supreme Mauves. This one came and went really fast from Artist Couture. This one is called Midnight Maven. This is probably the one that was hardest to get your hands on. And last from Artist Couture, we have Club Daddy. And look at the packaging on that. Next up, we have Jaclyn Cosmetics, and technically I only have one from Jaclyn, but I keep this other palette over there with Jaclyn because they are no longer in business. We'll just get straight into it. First up from Jaclyn Cosmetics, this is the Luxe Legacy palette. Remember, this is that very first one that they dropped, honey, so you know I had to get her. This is what she looks like on the inside. Got that. And the only eyeshadow palette that I have from Becca Cosmetics is the only reason I got it was to support Jaclyn Hill, honey. So this is the Jaclyn Hill and Becca collab. You know they pulled this one, but I managed to get my hands on her before they got rid of her. So I still have this here, and you couldn't pay me to get rid of it. Next up is Dominique Cosmetics, and with this first one I want to be careful. I'm not even sure what the name of this palette is called. Is it called the Now or Never palette, or I'm not sure. But I know she was accidentally dropped, so we're going to be real careful with her because I think she might have a glitter in there. But that's what the inside looks like. I think she is called the Now or Never palette. Open her up. And it wasn't the glitter that shattered. It was this soft, it was like a cream to powder, multi-chrome, not multi-chrome, dual chrome powder gel. Not sure, but she came broken. She came from overseas, so I couldn't help that. But she's beautiful, and I never got the chance to use her because I was always hurt that she came broke. Next up from Dominique Cosmetics is their infamous Latte palette, honey. I think this is their best seller. This is the one that the brand is known for. And baby, we've all been waiting on them to recreate this magic here. Get into that bad boy. She looks basic, but when I tell you she will get the job done, she's just neutral, perfect, ready to go. Next up behind it is the Latte 2. And this is one of those palettes where you either love her or hate her. I love the packaging design because she looks like a mess, but simply because I'm not the biggest fan of mints and pastel-y shades, they could have got rid of that even though I love greens. Next up, we have the Berries and Cream palette, and I'm not even sure if they still sell this one. I believe for a minute, Dominique Cosmetics was half off at Sephora, which is when I grabbed her. And with a pretty color story like that, I'm willing to try her out. I'm hoping she works because I got her. Another half off beauty, Celestial Storm. I believe they even came out with a miniature version of this. My friend had the mini, and when I was swatching her, she came out beautiful. So that's why I picked up this full-size version. And tell me those jewel tones don't look fabulous. They look beautiful. Also have the Rustic Glam palette. Now this one I didn't hear too much about. I just grabbed her because she was half price. She seemed warm neutral, but it was all of that blue and orange that threw me off. Y'all know those are my two least favorite eyeshadow colors, but y'all love those colors, so more than likely I might use this for y'all one day. And another bestseller from Dominique Cosmetics, the Transition palette. This palette was beautiful because she was all matte and she was considered an eye and face palette. You had your blushes, you had eyeshadows, bronzers, contours, brow powders, whatever you needed to complete your face, this was the palette to use. Next up is going to be Lunar Beauty, another fabulous brand, and I don't have them all, but I got me a nice little bit, so let's start her off. First off, Life's a Drag Facelift. Baby, I wanted that original palette, kept skipping over it. Eventually it was discontinued and I couldn't get her, but then they revamped her, came out with this version, and I still ain't used it. I just wanted to have her, but I still ain't used this version either, baby. I just wanted it, so we got her. The infamous, you got to have her, honey. Baby, I don't know a single person who had this and said we're going to declutter it. This is the original Moon Spell. I did not pick up the second one because I just did not think it could compare to this first one. Like, look at that package. Like, get into her. That's why I had to keep the box to go with it. Like, oh my goodness. And then you get on the inside. You all know greens are my favorites, followed by neutrals. And if I could only pick one other color besides the green, baby, each and every time I'm going to choose me a purple. So get into that. Like, are you kidding me? Absolutely beautiful packaging, color story, formula. Had to keep her. You could not buy this from me if you tried. Eternal Eclipse, a palette that I got for the packaging because I was looking like, ooh, honey, she's gorgeous. What's going on here? And y'all know, I love me some neutral to cool tones, so that's what got it. Blues ain't necessarily my favorite, but the way they brought them in with this, yes ma'am, I'll take me some of those. Stunning, beautiful packaging. Then they came in with Strawberry Dream, and I'm not gonna lie, I bought this just because everybody was talking about it and bragging about it. The packaging was beautiful, but once we get on the inside, it's really not my color story. But I can admit that she is pretty. I can admit she's pretty. She just don't do nothing for me. But I got her just in case a family or friend wanted to use her. And now we got her. And last from Lunar Beauty. Baby, I remember we picked this duo up. I got the blush palette to go with her. This is the Nude Prism palette. Isn't she gorgeous? And she lets you know on the outside she's going to be a little softer, and when you get on the inside, that is exactly what you are getting. Beautiful, soft, neutral, everyday colors. You could wear this anytime, to a wedding, to the office, on a date. She's always going to look fabulous. These next three are from Kylie Cosmetics. One is a collab. That's the first one. This is the collab with Jordyn Woods, and you all know we made sure that bad boy was sold because we wanted to support Jordyn Woods. Hunty, get into it. I am so glad I got mine. Let's get into her on the inside. I think I did reorganize my palette. I'm not 100% sure, but if she don't look like she's supposed to, that's probably why. I think I did. Probably didn't, but I ain't gonna worry about it right now. The next one is, oh yep, I did reorganize it because I see the numbers on the back. Next up is the Sippin' Pretty. I got this as a free gift with purchase from Ulta and ended up making more than one purchase, getting more than one, and I even gave one of these out in a giveaway. Did I reorganize this one? Yes, I did. And that is why she looks like this. Because baby, I like cohesive color stories. I want to be able to know exactly what colors I have. So this is what my Kylie Sippin' Pretty looks like. Baby, gorgeous. Last up, Kylie is known for doing her 9-pan palettes. So I'm not sure exactly which 3 are in here. I'll leave that in the description bar and let you all know. This is a custom palette here. I'm not sure which 3 are in here. I just put them all in here to make it easier to carry. I always know which one I can go back in, figure out which ones they are, because I think I have them labeled on the back here. Oh yeah, so I know I can pull that up. I believe it is her Blue Honey palette. I don't know which the other 2 is. I'm not even going to try to figure it out. But you can see, by putting them all in here, it just gives me one big warm neutral palette to carry around instead of having to sip around and carry 3 different ones. The next ones are from Kim and KKW. So we need to get these out and be careful because, baby, these is heavy. And you're going to see why in just a second. First up, baby, and you know my feelings is hurt. Kim, I don't know why y'all did that, but this is the Mrs. West palette. When I tell y'all I am so hurt that I never got a chance to do a tutorial before they got a divorce. Bought this to support the nuptials, and baby, I reorganized her. She is beautiful. The palette is still beautiful, but I never got a chance to use it, and now they're no longer even together. This is the KKW and Mario palette. This was the first collab, and you know this was the one that shook the internet. She was basic, but she was beautiful, and everybody was using her for this pop of blue. Let's just keep it real. I reorganized mine so I can have all my mattes in one area, know exactly what I want to do. Get that going. This was their second collab. This is called the Artist and Muse palette. Packaging was stunning. I think out of all of them, I think this is probably the prettiest one. Reorganize that as well on the inside. The very last palette that they launched was the Camo palette. And when I tell you, they shook everybody because nobody was expecting them to drop a green palette. And I'm like, thank you. If you're going to do anything for me, Cam, to go out with a green, that's how you do that. And look at her. She is a gorgeous palette. Absolutely stunning. Another palette you could not get me to sell. The last palette that I have here is the KKW and Winnie Harlow collab. Bought that to support Winnie Harlow. She's beautiful. Reorganize mine so I can have the mattes on top. Know exactly what I want to do when I just pop a shimmer on the lid and keep it moving. And the only thing I would have liked was a little more mattes in this, but I'm not a supermodel, so I don't determine what goes on in that beauty world. But I have this here, and this very last one is from Adept. Well, this is a KKW custom palette. As you can see, I got it in my Adept Cosmetics divider. But baby, when I tell you, she is ginormous, and I want to be careful with this palette because I've accidentally dropped her below, and I'm not sure what all palettes is in here. I'm gonna have to leave that in the description bar because I did a video with it before, but I want to try to get her in view so you all can see. I just depotted a bunch of palettes and have gradients going of my mattes on one side, just so I know if I want to go warm neutral, cool neutral, go colorful, it's all there. And these were all the palettes that were not collabs, so I did not mind depotting them. It didn't matter to me. And then once I'm through building up my mattes, or if I just want to do an all matte look, then I can come to this side and find me some shimmers. And you got, I'm telling you, different textures from satin to metallic to colorfuls. Like, baby, it's all here. So I want to be very careful with this because I've dropped her before, and as you can see, that shade right there then fell out. Let me give y'all a better view of her. And she had to be repressed, and I don't want to have to do that again, so we're going to be careful with this, and we'll be right back. Okay, last drawer in the second cabinet. These two brands are Morphe and Glamlight, so let's go ahead and get into it. First off, we have the Mickey and Friends Mini Artistry palette. That's what this one looks like here. You already know. I got it just to support Mickey. My friends love gifting me Mickey Loungefly mini book bags, and so I got this simply so that when I carry my Mickey bag, I can have the Mickey palette with me. This here is the Divine Neutrals palette, and this was a collab with Jaclyn Hill. One of the easiest palettes that I can say brings me the most compliments. Every single time I wear this, men stop me all the time when I wear it because it's so basic. This is my brother's favorite palette for me to wear. I've been missing them, so I might be pulling this back out soon. This here is called the Affirmation Magic Artistry palette. This is the collab with Ashley Strong. Baby, I was so ecstatic that she won. I kept telling everybody, as long as her or In To Go To Hell won, I did not care. Either one could have got it. Ashley won, and baby, look at her on the inside. Stunning. Beautiful palette. I bought the liner palette to go with it as well, but I still haven't used it. I believe I also bought both lip kits because I really wanted to show my love and support for Ashley, and it sucks that I still haven't used it yet. This here is the 18B Make and Bake palette. I purchased this for myself the day I went on the job interview for the job that I currently have. I really felt good about knowing that I was going to get the job, so I took myself out shopping right afterwards. This is what she looks like, and it's crazy to think that I never used her. And they don't even sell this in cardboard packaging anymore. I think she's in plastic now. But I got her simply because she was green, and I knew I was going to be making bank real soon. This here is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. You all do not know how many of these I have gone through over the years. It is ridiculous, but they've changed the formula now, so won't be getting another one. This is what this one looks like. Loved, used, and I'm telling you, the fact that that bottom row had all those greens and that black, absolutely stunning. The next one is the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. Another palette we got simply to support Jaclyn, baby. She put her name on it, so we grabbed them. This is what she looks like on the inside. And I know I have a tutorial up with this one, even though I don't have one up with the first one, which is crazy. Next up, this is the Mickey and Friends Truth Be Bold palette. Bought this simply because I wanted something to go with my Mickey Mouse bag. She's gorgeous, and the embossing is what has kept me from using it because this palette looks stunning. She looks stunning, but I do not want to mess up the embossing and engravings on those shadows. I'm trying to see if the camera can pick them up. Like, it is gorgeous. In my opinion, the greatest neutral palette that Morphe has ever released, the 35U. Baby, that 35O irritates my spirit because I don't like orange eyeshadows. I wanted something much more neutral to yellow or neutral to cool tone, and baby, get into her. They finally was able to do one for me. A neutral palette where I can go warm or go cool. I can go yellow toned. I can stay just browns. I got a black, I got a white, baby. They did that. And while I was waiting on them to come out with the 35U, I thought they had did something special with this 35X. I just realized, baby, I just wanted something pink, soft, and romantic. This was as close as I thought they were ever going to get to 35U. So when you look at her, you can see where I just tried to take what I thought I could get. I'm like, she ain't quite as orange as 35O, but I always thought they could do a little bit better. And now that they have, it has me wondering if I'm actually going to keep this palette because truth be told, I just look at her and be like, yeah. Last brand in this drawer is Glamlight, and baby, first off, let's get into what I thought was the prettiest one. What is she called? This is called the Paint Palette. Look at her. Baby, giving me all the Bob Ross vibes that I could want. She is gorgeous. Look at this. The packaging is beautiful. The colors is beautiful. I'm surprised I have not done a tutorial with her, but she is absolutely stunning. Next up, we have the Pizza Palette. And baby, I don't know why, No, I think this might have came in a bundle. Yeah, I bought a Glamlight bundle box and I didn't get to choose, but this is one of the ones that came with it, and I'm sitting here looking at it like, baby. They stuck with the theme, and I really think this is gonna come up with some beautiful looks. It's just, for me, leaving that little one green peppers there with no friends, it's like, come on, you know you could have gave her some shimmers, but it's only so many green toppers they could have did. So this may be another palette that I could potentially declutter. Next up we have Viva Taco palette. Another palette that came in that bundle. This is what she looks like on the inside. Oh, you want to turn her around so you can get a good view of that. This is what the shades look like. And that top World Greens is what saved her, because baby, even if I can't get an entire look with this, this is the type of palette that I want to dip into for an accent palette. Like baby, she could use just one more deeper green and she'd be perfect for me. Next up we have the Burger palette. And I think this was the one that helped the brand take off. This was the very first palette that I heard about from them. She's all fat and fluffy and soft like a hamburger bun. Once you get inside, this is what we got going. 16 beautiful shades, a ton of greens. The one thing though that everybody complains about is the fact that it is not quite as beautiful to stare at after a while, because some of the oils do start to seep out around the edges. I haven't checked to see if that affects the performance, but she's just not quite as pretty as she used to be. Next up we have the Michaela collab. Look at her. I want to see if that catch this here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty, honey? One of the selling points of this palette, once you get inside, stunning color story. She's warm neutral with a bunch of purples and greens, and baby, she's stunning. And I guess I gotta be careful with that Michaela Part 1 palette because the glitter is starting to leak out. One of the corners has loose glitter there where I guess the seam has come up, so I can't just shake that one the way I want to. But this one here is Michaela Part 2. She looks beautiful. I'm scared to keep doing this because it happened with that first one, but this is Part 2 here, and I like her even more because get inside. Baby, they didn't even waste no time with the neutrals. Jumped straight with the greens, the purples, and the blues, and this is why I like her more than Part 1. She's absolutely stunning. She has a large mirror, but I don't want to blind y'all, so let's get her out the way. This is the Dirty Martini palette. I wanted all 4 from this series, but truly could not afford them, so I just grabbed the one that caught my eye the most, which is the greens, of course. Once you get inside, baby, you can see exactly why she was on my mind. I'm still debating on grabbing the other 3, but this had to be number 1. Out of all of the palettes that I wanted to try from the brand, this was probably the biggest one. This is the Ice Cream Dream palette. Everybody talked about it. I could never get it. She was always the hardest one to get. She has those sprinkles and the cone going, but once you get inside, everybody was saying this is the pastel palette to play with. And baby, I still have not done just a dedicated eye tutorial for it yet, but I have played with her on my channel. And last but not least from Glamlight, we have the Cake palette. She came in that mystery bundle as well, so we're gonna get her open. And baby, beautiful, nice rainbow color story. She's more vivid than I would usually go for if I'm not playing with greens. And you see they was stingy with the greens. But they gave it to us with the other colors, so I ain't gonna hold that against it.